Hey you, this is Vicki Jo, and as you probably know by now, I have preferences for INFJ. And this is my friend Pete, and Pete has preferences for...
INFP.
Yay! Finally, a real live INFP, caught in its natural habitat. Thanks for doing this with me, Pete. You may know I have a website called INFJ or INFP, and I get a lot of questions about what are the differences, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously there's a lot of differences,
Yes.
and I don't, we could go on and on and on for days until we're, skeletons here, cobwebs on us. But I want to just try and focus it and spend a few minutes talking about some of the more obvious differences. Okay? So one of the pieces I want to talk about is feeling. Now, I don't know how much you know about type, but in the type world, when we talk about feeling, we're not actually talking about emotions, although emotions, may play a part. What we're really talking about is the way we make decisions. That you and I both have a preference for making decisions using feeling. Okay? However, in your case, it's your best gift, your dominant cognitive process, and it's introverted feeling. And in my case, it's my auxiliary process, and it's extroverted feeling. Now, I think I've written a lot about extroverted feeling, and people tend to kind of know what that is, but introverted feeling is this big mystery. And what I notice is when I correspond with INFPs, they really seem to know what their values are, and they know what they're feeling from moment to moment. Could you speak a little bit about that and what's that like? Is that true for you? And just share a little with everybody about what that's like?
Yeah, I'm very aware of my feelings. Sometimes to a fault, according to some people.
What does that mean? Can I have an example of that?
That wow, how do you know? How come, wow, you know exactly what you're feeling and how that changes, and you know that too, and you know what triggers you, you know what inspires you. It's almost like it's my awareness.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. Yeah. I mean, I'm fascinated as I'm listening to you, because I don't have that. Okay, I don't have that.
Okay.
So this is really helpful for me.
Okay.
So obviously, it being your best gift, it's a very rich process. So tell me about how that's been, because it's been with you your whole life.
Yeah.
Right. So share more. Share a lot. I really want to hear the richness of this.
People would say that I'm extremely empathic. I would say, yeah, I'm a feeler. I could walk into a room and sense the emotions of something. I know something's going on emotionally. I can smell it. And usually, in a sense, it's a gift in a way that I can go with that and speak to someone from that place of with that sensitivity.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and then and it's not to condescend someone. It's just to be. It's just as a sensitivity to, if that's what I'm getting a sense of in the room, and I go with that, so that I won't. I'm not disregarding that feeling, especially if something is really going on. So
that thing that's going on, I get that there's that deep connection, a deep feeling of what's happening. And are you a drama queen?
No. I don't consider myself to be.
Yeah, that would be my impression, but I wanted to ask you questions because I am. I mean, you can see, I'm kind of the dry, I'm all over the place. And interestingly, I don't always know what I'm feeling. I know what other people are feeling. If I'm in a room, I can sense the atmosphere and the vibe in the room, and I know what somebody else might be feeling,
Right.
but I'm very out of touch
Oh.
with what I'm feeling and what my values are.
Mm.
Like, I know what your values are,
Right,
but
right.
I don't know what my own values
Oh.
are. It's really interesting. I mean, I know what the group's values are, and for years I thought the group's values were my values.
Oh.
Right? Like, oh, we all like Roy Rogers,
Oh, okay,
you know,
yeah.
we all like Star Wars,
Right,
right?
right.
And so because everybody liked that, I thought, well,
Right.
I like that too. We all like that,
Uh-huh.
yeah?
Uh-huh.
So it's a community
Okay.
shared value.
Right.
But in terms of knowing what do you, Vicky Joe, value?
Mm. Mm.
Don't know,
Mm.
Or somebody says, what are you feeling right now?
Right.
My eyes are going to roll back in my head for 10 minutes while I go, how am I feeling? What do I don't know. I don't know. So it feels like we're different in that respect.
Yes.
And what I make up is that you feel things very deeply,
Yes.
but sharing those does not come readily.
No.
Tell me about that.
I tend to keep to myself.
Yeah.
And there's a part that's like, I don't want to rattle any cages, I don't want to upset anyone, that even though I sense what everyone is, I sense what's in the room, I don't, like, I go with it and I act with it, as opposed to say something to someone about it. Or I check in with myself, I mean, or how is this impacting me? Or how am I adding to this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's always a going inside
yeah,
when you're in a group.
right.
Whereas I notice when I'm in a group, it's the going outside. Hi, how are you? What's going on?
Yeah.
And then I notice it shows up in my coaching.
Oh.
So, when I'm coaching somebody, it's like, oh, you look great, and how are you? And gee, you look happy. And, and it's very easy for me to name what's going on over there. Or how does that work for you?
Yeah, I tend to check in,
Mm-hmm.
and like it goes back in to see, like my processing is inside.
Yeah.
I notice like, well, let me check in with how that lands with me,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't typically name what someone else is. I feel it
I can
first.
feel it,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah.
you have a hard time
Naming it.
and putting it out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Is there something about naming it and putting it out there that diminishes it?
That I don't know if it diminishes it. It may. I'm not really fully getting a sense of diminishing, but
Why the holding back? Is it a holding back? Maybe I should start there.
yeah, in a sense it is. I do get a sense of a holding back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Why holding back? Any ideas?
not wanting to offend, not want to make waves, perhaps not wanting to say something that may impact someone in that might stir something for someone negatively.
So that's real. I'm finding that real interesting. I'm trying to kind of put that in my
Yeah.
cooker and kind of reconcile that. So here's what I think I'm hearing you say is that everybody's feelings are very private, and that there's a piece of you that doesn't feel entitled or
Like I didn't want to rattle any cages.
yeah, like your feelings are private, my feelings are private. Let's not mess with each other. Whereas I notice my feeling is like, hi, and cheer up, and I want to affect you. I want to stir you up. If you seem down, I want to cheer you up.
Right.
If you're happy, I want to make you happier, or I want to share it with you.
Right.
So there's a real mutuality
Right.
of we're going to share this feeling. And what I think I'm hearing you say is that your approach is different. It's like, I have my feeling, you have your feeling, and let's not mess with each other's feelings.
It's that, and unless I have their permission.
Ah, okay.
Unless I know it's okay to have any to have that impact.
So when would be those times? Is that a rare and wondrous thing, or is that a like, I do it with Mary and Sue and Tom and Dick and Harry, but not Jane and
Yeah,
Sally?
it is the people I'm closer to.
Mhm.
It is a more small group. I don't like big groups. Like, I don't do well at parties.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's the introvert thing. We both got
Yeah,
that one.
okay, yeah.
Although I will say,
Uh-huh.
I can light up at parties. I mean, I really enjoy having, the stimulation of people around.
Yeah. I do probably no more than a group of 8. More than a group of 8, I tend to shrink. I tend to be like a wallflower. Yeah.
And tell me about that. So you get to the party, there's
Tons of people.
20, 50, 100, yeah.
Yeah.
And so then what?
Then I find people that I'm familiar with, and I tend to stay in a certain area, usually the kitchen, where the food or the drinks are, and I tend to stay there with the people that I know. I rarely talk to people I don't know. I do on occasion, if it's not my most comfortable thing.
Can I ask you a kind of a risky question and help me,
Yes.
to kind of frame this right? Is there when there's a lot of people like that, is there a resistance about I don't want them to impact how I'm feeling? My feelings are my feelings, and I don't want to let.
Yeah, there's a bit of that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a resistance or opposition that shows up, like
Boundaries.
back off of, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah. There's if I don't immediately know who you are, then it has to start very small. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm much more open, I think, than that, but I'm a strange INFJ in that respect. I've been called an enthusiastic INFJ, so I want to be careful that we don't get into the whole issue around
Okay.
introversion and kind of stick with
Okay.
the.
Okay.
But overall, I will say I'm much more a party girl. Party, yeah. Hi, who are you? Nice to meet you.
Yeah,
And I enjoy it. Although after the party, I'll go home and pull the blankets over my head and
Right.
260 business cards that I collected.
Right.
I may never talk to them ever again.
Wow.
I'm not going to pick up the phone and
Right.
call them. If they call me, I'm going to
Right,
let it
right.
go to voicemail. Anyway, I'm going to cycle back around, and I want to talk just a little more about this values question. Can you speak it? Because for me, the whole values thing is like, what? We're like, don't get that. And I want to say something again, kind of challenging, if I may. There's a kind of a guru for me in the type world named Dr. John Beebe, and he has said that he thinks INFPs are the most judgmental of all the types.
Interesting.
Yeah. Tell me about that. What's your reaction to that? How does that land on you? Do you think he's wrong, or tell me
I think
about
we're
it.
all judgmental to some extent.
Yeah.
I don't consider myself to be extremely judgmental. I do judge. I do. But I think everyone has their degree of it. At the same time, because I've done a lot of personal growth work myself, I'm really aware, even of when I'm judging. I can say, oh yeah, I'm being judgmental right now. I catch myself.
Does that occur frequently?
What, the catching myself or judging?
The judging, because this thing called type.
Right.
If we give that any credence, in the model, technically you would be a judging type. That would be your preference. Whereas even though you have a P in your code, and then for me I have a J in my code, but because we're introverts. It's the opposite. So I'm actually a perceiving type
Wow, okay.
at the core.
Interesting.
So I may look decisive or I may look judgmental, but really in here I'm just,
Well,
a sponge.
here's what comes out too in that judgmental arena is like we were talking about being at a party. I don't like being around a lot of people. I immediately am like, well, I don't even know them. But I'm already judging that I don't want, it's like there's already like, I don't know if I can trust these people. There's already the sense of, it's not a sense of danger, but it's a sense of just don't get near me unless I know a bit about you. It's almost like Facebook. Like I think about, I let friends of friends see my profile, but not complete strangers.
So there's a real
yes,
kind of guard up.
Guard up, yeah. So that's where I can see where the judgmental aspect comes in, because I do have that up. It's a protective almost.
How long does it take you to make up your mind about somebody?
Not long.
What's not long? 3 seconds? 3 hours? 3 weeks? 3
No,
years?
it's about like 20 seconds.
20 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what kind of
Feeling. It's a feeling right in my gut, in my heart. Like, are they being, the word that comes to mind is, are they authentic? Are they real? Are they trying to sell me something? Or trying to manipulate? And I say, I usually say no to that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you're kind of on the antenna up.
I'm a very heart person.
So
if it's not coming from a heart place, I tend not to resonate. Head person, I do have friends who are. They come from the mind and very analytical. I connect with that. But I notice that what resonates a lot more with me is someone who comes from a heart place.
Because I was just thinking, I know you had a significant other who was a thinking type, so I think you kind of forestalled my question with that. So, was there something else I wanted to ask you? Talk to me about selfish.
Like what it means to me? What is selfish?
I'm going to let you kind of take that where you want to go.
Brewing, selfish. Selfish can mean several things for me. It has a negative connotation.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can see it as self-honoring, self-respecting, self-loving. Coming back to what we talked about, resonance. Doing something that resonates with me, that honors me, honors what I love, honors what I like. That's in tune with that.
I just want to say it's so interesting as I listen to you, because I really feel like you're standing in your values as you say that. And this guru I mentioned earlier says honor is a very important word to people who prefer introverted feeling. And I notice over here, like the idea of being selfish is like, oh, no. And honoring myself has been one of my biggest challenges my whole life.
Wow.
Like it's easier for me to honor other people, take care of other people, but self-honoring, self-respect, self-worth is not something that I have been strongly in touch with. So I'm just noticing that contrast as I'm listening to you.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think I'm going to go. I was going to go in a whole other piece there, but I think I'm not going to bother because I don't want to make this too long. So any last things to say on this topic of values and feelings before I wrap this up?
Feelings is like I look at how my feelings say a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That is like a gauge or a barometer for what resonates with me.
Great.
And honoring that. I mean, you know, that's how I go into the what is honorable, or what is in resonance to me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's kind of linked into, I feel, this intuitiveness
Mm-hmm.
quality.
Mm-hmm. Well, the feeling is
Yeah.
just there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
A lot of people confuse their feeling with their intuition because it, feels
Right.
intuitive,
Right,
right?
right.
So we'll talk about intuition
Okay.
another time.
Okay.
But I'm just going to leave that here for
Okay.
now, and I want to say I feel honored that we were able to have this conversation, and I'm
Thank you.
hoping that it will go a long way toward helping some of the viewers out there understand whether or not they have preferences for INFJ, like I do, or perhaps preferences for INFP, like Pete does. Thanks, Pete.
Thank you, Joe. You're welcome.